Okay, so what if I told you that there's a saboteur living inside your own head, and its only mission is to stop you from doing the things you actually want to do? You can't see it, but you feel it every single day. Well, today, we're going to unmask that saboteur and show you exactly how to win the war for your own mind. Does this sound familiar? You have a goal, you've got a plan, you genuinely want to do something important, but then the moment comes to actually do it, and it feels like this invisible force just slams on the brakes. It's less like you're making a choice and more like you're literally fighting with yourself, isn't it? And what you're seeing here, this isn't just you lacking willpower. Nope, this is a full-on biological tug of war. You've got the logical, goal-setting part of your brain that wants to get things done, fighting against this ancient, deep-seated part that just wants to stay safe and comfortable. And guess what? Your brain has been practicing this fight for millions of years. But, and this is the good news, you can absolutely learn how to rig the game in your favor. So let's get one thing straight right now. Feeling that resistance, it is not a character flaw. I'm serious. You are not lazy. You are not broken. It's actually a sign that your brain is working perfectly. It's just, well, it's doing a job it was designed for in a world that doesn't really exist anymore. Let's break down what that job actually is. Okay, this right here is the heart of the whole thing. Your brain's number one job isn't to make you happy or successful or fulfilled. Its job is to keep you alive. That's it. And for our ancestors, staying alive meant two things: save every bit of energy you can and avoid anything new or uncertain because, well, it could be dangerous. And that's the ancient software still running in your head today. Yeah, think of your brain as running on an operating system that hasn't had an update in, I don't know, 100,000 years. Back then, every single calorie was precious. Wasting energy on something that wasn't essential, that was a huge risk. And anything new or unfamiliar could literally get you killed. So your brain learned a very simple equation. Effort and uncertainty equal danger, a threat to your very survival. So this old school OS, it runs on 4 simple rules. Rule number 1, avoid effort at all costs. It's just too expensive. Rule 2, hate uncertainty. The unknown is always a risk. Rule 3, seek out the easy dopamine hits. You know, that little feel-good chemical you get from scrolling your phone or grabbing a snack. It's safe, it's predictable. And finally, rule number 4, comfort right now is way more important than some fuzzy goal in the future. Okay, so if we're up against our own ancient programming, how in the world do we win? Well, it turns out there are 2 totally different, but, equally powerful ways to do it. You can either force your brain into submission, or you can gently train it to work with you. So let's break this down. On one side, you've got the warrior. This path is all about confronting that resistance head-on. You use pain and discomfort as the trigger to act. The mindset here is action kills hesitation. Then, on the other side, you've got the trainer. This is all about lowering the barrier to entry, making the hard thing feel safe and not so scary. For the trainer, action creates motivation. Totally different approaches, but they both lead to the same place, you getting back in control. All right, let's dive into the first path, the path of direct confrontation, the warrior. This whole approach is about completely changing your relationship with discomfort. It's about taking that feeling of, I don't want to do this, and using it as the very signal to charge forward, not back down. The main weapon in the warrior's arsenal is something called the 3-second kill switch. It's super simple. The second you feel that hesitation, that little voice telling you to wait, you don't argue with it, you don't reason with it, you just interrupt the pattern. You count backwards, 3, 2, 1. And when you hit 1, you move. You physically launch yourself into the action before your brain even has a chance to build a case against it. And this right here, this is the core mindset shift. See, most of us feel discomfort and we treat it like a stop sign, a warning. The warrior philosophy flips that completely on its head. That feeling of, I really don't want to, that becomes the starting gun. The pain is the reason you have to act, and you have to act now. Now look, this isn't about one big, heroic moment. It's about consistency. The whole strategy is to build a daily habit of doing something that sucks just a little bit. A daily discomfort ritual. Maybe it's a cold shower. Maybe it's waking up just 15 minutes earlier, making that phone call you've been avoiding. These small, daily acts of war against weakness, they train your brain that you are in charge, not your feelings. But okay, what if the idea of going to war with your brain just sounds exhausting? Maybe the warrior path isn't for you. Don't worry, there's another way. A path with a little less brute force and a lot more strategy. Let's talk about the trainer. So the trainer's secret weapon, it's so simple, it almost feels like cheating. And it all comes down to one number, 5. We're talking about the 5-minute rule. Whatever that big, scary, overwhelming task is, you don't commit to finishing it. You just commit to doing it for 5 minutes. That's the entire deal, just 5 minutes. So why on earth does this work so well? Because it short-circuits this little glitch in our brains called effort prediction error. It's just a fancy term for how our brains are total drama queens. They imagine a task is going to be 10 times harder and more awful than it actually is. But by committing to just 5 minutes, you call your brain's bluff. You prove to it that its catastrophic prediction was totally wrong. And you know what? Getting started is almost always the hardest part. But this brings up a really important question, right? It's one thing to trick our brain into getting started, but how do we get it to stop fighting us all the time? How do we make this change actually stick for the long haul? And here's the secret. It's all about what you choose to reward. See, most of us, we wait to celebrate until we hit some huge goal. The trainer approach says that's a huge mistake. You have to reward the effort, not just the result. Just taking a second to say to yourself, hey, good job, I showed up, I did my 5 minutes. That gives your brain a little hit of dopamine, and you start teaching it a brand new lesson. Just showing up is a win. Okay, so here's where it all comes together. Whether you pick the warrior path or the trainer path, it doesn't matter, because both of them are aiming at the exact same target. This was never really about the gym, or the project, or cleaning the garage. The real goal is to fundamentally change who you believe you are. Because, look, your brain will always work to prove that the story you tell about yourself is true. If you tell yourself, I'm a procrastinator, your brain will go out of its way to make that a reality. But when you consistently take action, whether you force it or train it, that story starts to change. Little by little, it becomes, I'm the kind of person who shows up. I'm someone who does hard things. And this is exactly how that journey unfolds. It starts with just one small action. Then you repeat it, and it starts to become a pattern. After a while, that pattern feels familiar, and your brain's alarm system kind of stops going off. The resistance fades, and eventually, that familiarity becomes your new identity. It's not something you do anymore. It's just who you are. So let's bring this all home. We've talked about why your brain fights you, and we've laid out 2 powerful strategies to fight back. But now it all comes down to this moment. What's your first step? How does this internal war end today? Seriously, I want you to think about it right now. Not a big list, just one thing. What is that one task, that one conversation, that one project that you have been avoiding? Get it in your head right now. Picture it. Okay, now you have a choice. You don't need to wait for motivation to strike. You just need to pick a tool. So what's it going to be? Are you going to be the warrior and just force it with a 3, 2, 1 countdown? Or are you going to be the trainer and ease into it with just 5 minutes? Pick your path right now. And I want to leave you with this one last thought. The goal of all this, it's not to make hard things feel easy. Because you know what? They probably won't. The real goal is to get to a point where doing hard things is just so normal for you, so baked into your identity that the internal fight just stops. Hard things don't get easy, they just become who you are.